Hi, it's Gerry, and welcome to day 284 of A Course in Miracles. We, of course, reflect on the question, what is the Holy Spirit? Then the statement for today is this: I can elect to change all thoughts that hurt. And the reflection tells us, loss is not loss when properly perceived. Pain is impossible. There is no grief with any cause at all, and suffering of any kind is nothing but a dream. This is the truth, at first to be but said, and then repeated many times, and next to be accepted but as partly true, with many reservations, then to be considered seriously more and more, and finally accepted as truth. I can elect change all thoughts that hurt. And I would go beyond these words today and past all reservations and arrive at full acceptance of the truth in them. And then our prayer is, Father, what you have given cannot hurt, so grief and pain must be impossible. Let me not fail to trust in you today, accepting but the joyous as your gifts, accepting but the joyous as the truth. So this is really rather a countercultural lesson, because at least Western society abhors suffering and says you have to get away from it, and you need to take pills to kill the pain, and so on and so on. Whereas when we read a great work like Man's Search for Meaning, which, as I've said many times, is one of my favorite books, we see the lesson of Viktor Frankl. And he talks about this, actually. And he and the men in the concentration camps would reflect on the concept of suffering. And they drew from a very powerful statement by the Russian author Dostoevsky that suffering ceases to be suffering when we give meaning to it. And I would take that as the meaning of this lesson, that, the goal that the men talked about in the concentration camp was to be worthy of their suffering. And that's, because suffering is going to happen. Are we going to be worthy of it? Are we going to deal with it with courage and integrity? And are we going to be like gold that's tested in fire? And it also reminds me of a First Nations teaching that I show to my students. And it talks about how it's not good to have too easy of a life. We need to be challenged. We need to face and overcome difficulties in order to develop to be the best people we can be. And I think that's key in this lesson. I arrive at the full acceptance that loss is not loss when properly perceived. That's really the key. And I would go beyond these words today and past all reservations and arrive at full acceptance of the truth in them. Again, that loss is not loss when properly perceived. Suffering ceases to be suffering when we give meaning to it. And Father, what you have given cannot hurt. It also goes to that Nietzsche quote, that which does not kill me makes me stronger. It's, again, embracing it with the right attitude. and realizing that any difficulty we face is a challenge to become a better person. So, those are my reflections for today. This is a really, really beautiful lesson. It is something that I embrace in my life. And it, I don't know. I feel joy in embracing this message. And if we just look at the tremendous impact that Viktor Frankl, for example, had on the world in teaching the truth of man's search for meaning, what an amazing difference that's made in the lives of so many people. I think that's testimony that loss is not loss when properly perceived. Because he lost, on one level, he lost a lot. He lost most of his family. He lost his first wife, possibly lost his first child, lost his parents. But he didn't dwell there. And, it's like the book of Job, that which is lost can be replaced many times over. So, those are my reflections for today. May God bless you abundantly, and I look forward to our conversation tomorrow. Peace be with you.